topically to the skin, and orally for the digestive system. Be sure to watch our new 7-minute video tour of the Silver Lung system at www.silverlungs.com to learn more about how the Silver Lung system works. As well, we are always ready to answer any questions you may have. That's www.silverlungs.com.
Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
We're talking about the nature of human society on this planet. I want to get into what Stefan, author, researcher, what his views are on where society's going on its current path versus his ideas to reverse that trend and where he would take us if he was king. And obviously he's pretty much an anarchist, so he didn't want to be king. But king for today, what would he do? Stefan Molyneux is our guest. This is a short segment. Long segment coming up. If you want to talk to Stefan or bring up any of the news items we've discussed today, the toll-free number is 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. Open phones in this third and final hour today. Stefan, for stations that just joined us, gave a great analogy of what's happening in Greece, what's happening right now over in Ireland, and how it's now spreading out to Germany and England and the United States. You've got a bunch of people in a ER, and you've got Greece and other nations like Ireland that are bleeding to death, and they don't fix the wounds. The system stays the same, but they take blood from the other countries that aren't bleeding as bad yet, and they're pumping it in to the countries that are bleeding out, but they're not fixing the wounds, so it's just pouring out. Now, the system knows that. Why, then, are they not even closing the wounds, changing the system? Because parasitic vampires, I mean, Stefan called them parasites earlier. That's what a mosquito is. It's a blood-sucking insect. These globalists are there in the hospital, bloated, fat, goblin-like creatures, literally sucking all the blood running down the channel rails into their mouths. So that's what's happening. What's your view on that, Stefan?
Well, I think that's right. An analogy that I've thought of that I think makes the most sense is, if you've ever seen the Indiana Jones films, in the very first one, he's in the treasure room, and all this gold and jewels and all of the riches of the ancient world. And he grabs what he needs, and then he sees a huge door begin to slide down slowly. And he grabs what he wants, and he runs out, and he rolls out, and he just reaches back to grab his hat before the door comes down. Well, it's been clear, really, since the 1960s, and certainly since the 1970s, since stagflation and going off the gold standard, or the remains of the gold standard, that the system is not going to last. And the system is so close to the end now that expecting rational, long-term, coherent behavior from the ruling class at the moment is not really very rational. And so what's happening is, because the system is shutting down, the system is reaching its end game, people are just trying to grab as much as humanly possible. Before, like Indiana Jones, just grab as much as you can.
That's a great point. We see this in every society. As the ship burns, people are just grabbing goods and jumping off. There's an acceleration. It's kind of like exterminators talk about when you spray cockroaches with poison, they start mating, trying to reproduce. There's like a wild party that goes on.
The Brinks truck explodes in the poor neighborhood, blowing $100 bills up into the sky. You don't expect people to just sit around and wonder about their retirement. They just run out like crazy, like a shark feeding frenzy, and grab whatever they can. And every policy that I've seen introduced over the past few years is just a massive cash grab that involves huge transfers of wealth from the private to the public sector. Some of it going to the dependent classes to continue to buy their allegiances, but most of it flowing upwards to the few farmers and the rulers. And if you really analyze what is going on, it is all about private-public sector transfers, or peaceful, violent sector transfers. And because the public sector is so dwarfing and engulfing and destroying, right? Government's always cancer. Cancers generally grow to destroy the host, and that's the same thing with government. You can very clearly see that it is overwhelming the body politic that the number of public sector jobs that have been created over the past 10 years versus what have been created in the private sector is vastly greater in the public sector. The unfunded liability of the public sector pensions are staggering. I mean,
it's impossible to pay back. Stay there. Let's go through where you see this system going on the other side, and then ideas you've got to turn it around. We'll be right back with our guests. Stay with us, Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.tv. Hi, folks. This is Alex Jones asking you for a minute of your time to tell you about soap. Not detergents, but good old-fashioned pure soap made by the Cal Ben Soap Company, a family-owned and operated American company. My family, staff, friends, and radio listeners are constantly telling me how much they love these products for bath, hair, laundry, and dishes. There is nothing like these factory-direct, big money-saving, triple-concentrated soaps anywhere. Get a free detailed catalog by calling 800-340-7091 or see them online at 5starsoap.com or Infowars.com. Let's talk to the owner of 5 Star Soap, Marty Schachter, and see what he has to say.
As founder and owner for over 63 years, people keep asking me, how's business? I'm happy to say our business is going down the drain. Call us at 1-800-340-7091. Visit our website, 5starsoap.com, for buying our 1 to 2 month soap sampler. Thank you.
You may be arrested and or subject to other police action.
Tyranny is here. The grim future foretold in 1984 has become reality.
It really says that the state is God.
The United States is now recognized globally as one of the most oppressive police states on earth. This film conclusively proves the existence of a secret network of FEMA camps, now being expanded nationwide. This documentary exposes how the continuity of government program has established an all-powerful shadow state. Police State 4 chronicles the sickening depths to which our republic has fallen. Prepare to enter the secretive world of emergency dictatorship. Body scanners, sound cannons, citizen spies, stage terror, and cameras on every street corner. It's only the beginning of the New World Order's hellish plan. The police state isn't coming. It's here. Secure your copy today at Infowars.com or see it online in the highest quality at PrisonPlanet.tv. Hi, this is Alex Jones. You've heard me talk about the delicious, easy-to-fix, and very storable foods from eFoodsDirect.com. I've told you for years that eFoods Direct has the best storable food on the planet. Now it's that time of year again, and their holiday special is here. They have 2 holiday price packs for you to put into your reserves for a secure future or to share with others. The first is a 6-month bulk supply in 10 cans, and the second is a 5-week supply of quick and easy-to-fix meals, including delicious bakery items shipped in heavy tote bags. Now, for a limited time, when you order 2 or more of these special holiday packs, you'll get free shipping on your entire order. Call now, 800-409-5633, or visit them at efoodsdirect.com/Alex. That's 800-409-5633, or efoodsdirect.com/Alex.
He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Stefan Molyneux is our guest. He's joining us from a hotel room in Phoenix, Arizona. He's going to be talking at the 2010 Freedom Summit there. We're going to have him back on in the next few weeks via video link when he's back home in Canada. And he joins us now. If you just tuned in, listeners, we've been talking about the fact that we live on a plantation, that we're seen as human resources. And I went over the fact earlier that the globalists have decided they don't need us anymore. They have said they want to dramatically cull the numbers of people. They don't want nations competing with each other anymore, sub-ruling classes. They are forming one giant global corporate hive Borg controlling oligarchy that is eugenics-based, that wants to cut off our resources through a neo-feudalistic system. And the UN in their memorandums in the 1996 Biological Diversity Assessment, they call it modern feudalism. They say feudalism is better for the environment. So they are clearly trying to reinstate an even older form and more abusive form of tyranny. And, you know, the cycle of history shows that when you do have liberty, it produces incredible wealth, but then it grows a big, corrupt government. So talking to Stefan, again, we were getting into these impossible to pay back debts from the domesticated population. Most of the money's been siphoned off to the ruling class. The banks are all making super record profits, consolidating power. But the howling welfare class is now being forged into an army against the middle class. From your research, why does the ruling elite hate the middle class so much? Because clearly they do. It's their ancestral enemy.
Right, right. I think that's a great question. It's hard to say for sure because they don't exactly publish this stuff too openly. My guess would be that the parasite always hates the host because the host reminds the parasite that he's a parasite. So the fact that the ruling classes who are driven by, you know, egomania, grandiosity, narcissism, and a kind of madness, I mean, these people are going to be classified as insane in the future in the same way that we look at the Nazi eugenicists as insane, though they seemed perfectly reasonable at the time to most people. And so the fact that there are free and productive and happy and voluntary people in the world reminds the ruling classes of what desperate, sociopathic parasites they really are, and it just reminds them of that. And so I think that's one of the reasons that they hate them, because it pricks their vanity in the fact that they think that they rule the world, but they're actually dependent upon Joe Sixpack, who goes to work and produces something of value for a living rather than just moving.
Well, I totally agree with you, assessing their psychology, reading their own writings, and I believe it's a delusion that they dream of not having us around and having a high-tech, robotic society that serves a tiny, you know, superior ruling class that so many of these people have written about. That's really their own self-hate. The fact that they hate the general population so much, the fact that they try to dumb the population down, and that's on record, shows their disdain for the host.
Yeah, and I think that they understand that deep down they're never going to achieve the kind of happiness and peace of mind and contentment and love and good relationships that free people have. They just, you know, the masters secretly hate the slaves dancing and singing and having a good time down at the end of the plantation because they're sort of stuck in their lonely house, and the masters need the slaves, but the slaves don't need the masters fundamentally. And so I think there is a lot of hatred and a recognition that it is not a life well lived to prey upon your fellow man and to brutalize and manipulate and sell off their future and destroy the brains of their children through miseducation. That is not a life well lived, and I strongly believe in the endless power of the human conscience, and that we all know deep down whether what we're doing is right or wrong. And so deep down they know all of that, but they don't want to deal with it and change their lives, so they project all of that hatred onto other people. All of that self-hatred gets funneled out onto other people, and it's like a bird attacking a mirror, but thinking it's something else. It's a tragic, tragic state of mind. In a sense, we almost have to free the masters from themselves. I know that sounds perhaps a bit over-compassionate, but they, in the long run, or at least their descendants, will be a lot happier. If we pry these leeches off the neck of humanity, they can actually grow their own 2 legs and stand on their own 2 feet.
Well, you're absolutely right. You know, a painter produces paintings, a philosopher produces philosophy. The globalist, you know, cobbler makes shoes. The globalist engineers societies so that they can continue on with their basic predatory, parasitic power trip. But this is all coming to an end, and they've engineered it. They believe they're going to get total power out of it. But more and more of the indicators I see show that this is actually giving free humanity and those that do love true liberty a very good chance of routing these people. But as Ron Paul has said over and over again, as we come to this crisis point, people that do love liberty have to be more active than ever because historically we tend to slip into even greater degradation after a system comes to an end. It's very rare that we go to new heights. So, A, briefly, where do you see it ending? What's your time frame? And B, what are your ideas to not go over the edge of the cliff?
Yeah, I mean, about 5 years ago, I said 5 to 15 years, and I still stick by that. We're definitely entering the last few years of the existing system, and it could even be shorter than that. The reason that it's going to go towards freedom and liberty is the exact same reason that you and I are having this conversation. You and I only know each other because of the internet, because we're not going to be guests on the mainstream